Welcome to Extra Inning Softball Voices from the Field. I'm Jesse Warren.
And I'm Katie Lively, and we are thrilled to have you with us today.
So grab your gloves,
lace up your cleats,
and settle in as we explore the voices from the field,
where every inning counts and every player has a story. Welcome back to Voices from the Field. We have Kris Caldwell today. She is a former All-American college softball player and coach. She played softball for 30 years and went on to coach for 25 years, and she is now the head coach for the St. Louis Chaos 2012 team. So thank you, Kris, for getting on with us today. And we're talking about rest and recovery. I know that's a very big thing for you and your organization. So I just want to just start off by asking you, what's the importance of rest and recovery? Why do you think it's so critical to young players?
Because it's too much. They do too much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Just a little bit older than you. And I'm still having surgeries from softball injuries that I had, did years ago. And these girls are running around. I mean, we played 5 games in one day, entirely too many.
Crazy.
Even with 4 pitchers, entirely too many games. But most, and you can ask any college coach, most injuries that they see for freshman players are overuse injuries.
Jeez.
And the burnout.
Yeah.
The burnout is beyond real. And we all still have burnout with work and life in general. So an 18-year-old girl burned out by playing a game.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm a softball fanatic.
Can't get enough of it.
I can't, but you have to put the ball down.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of grief about that because I shut them down for Christmas.
Yeah. And as you should.
I tell them, don't even pick up a ball. Don't even look at a ball.
Yeah.
And people will tell that that's the old school.
That makes no sense. I don't even know what that means.
Calling me
crazy
old, I guess.
too. Because if you look at college, college players, I mean, they take the whole winter break off. They really, after fall season's over, they really don't have a ton to do, and then they have the whole summer off. So it's weird. I don't know when we transition from that to making these 10, 12, 14-year-old girls play year round.
Mm-hmm. So we have all wanted, and I still want, softball and female sports in general to grow.
Absolutely.
Now money's involved.
Mm-hmm.
Now the NIL. Now pitchers are getting $1 million NIL. Well, then you need to, have how many shutouts, how many one-hitters, how many no-hitters, how many perfect games. For $1 million, the expectation is very high, right? So that's what we want.
Right.
But with the money that comes with it, expectations comes through that door just as fast.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I had a friend that I played with. She had to stop playing after her sophomore year because she was a pitcher, predominantly drop ball, change up, off speed stuff. And she had elbow issues. She had to have surgery, and she was wondering if she has kids, am I going to be able to hold my kid older? And that's stuff that you have to think about. And I'm kudos to her for putting the ball down and getting the surgery, because 4 years of softball is not anything compared to however long you live after softball,
Yeah, right.
That kind of
when I played, we didn't have Olympics. We didn't have anything professional. We had women's major. And I played in women's major till I was 30-ish something. And my senior year in college, something popped in my shoulder and I wasn't going to sit out. I already took my redshirt year. I've had 4 surgeries on that arm. And I never held my son in my right arm.
Jeez, that's
never held my son in my right arm.
It's so sad, and I mean, you love the sport so much, but it's just it costs. It does cost. Like you were talking about.
It does cost.
Yep.
Do you think, and this is just a thought, do you think that And I know it's an issue in male sports, I'm sure that's the same thing, but do you think because we don't have as much of a professional presence, that because we only have this short frame to play, that girls or players are usually like kinda like you, "Well, I'm not gonna give up soft like, I only have this time to play." Do you think that has any impact if we had a major professional league, kinda like baseball? Do you think we'd take better care of
Oh,
ourselves?
absolutely. I would have, if I had an opportunity to make the Olympic team or a professional team, you're darn right,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I could have played longer. But
Right.
I am, I'm faced with the end of my career,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out with an injury. I'm not.
Yeah.
I
I
won't
mean,
do
you
it.
saw it and we saw it, I think Montana Fouts, I mean, she had to suffer through I remember watching her and having to suffer through that knee injury, and I can't help but think she was thinking the same thing. Obviously, we have more professional experience, professional leagues now, but it's still not I mean, you're not making,
It's
No.
not.
billions upon billions of dollars signing a contract, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, you see it even on the biggest stage. I wanted to take a second to mention our new feature on our website. If you go to our website, extrainningsoftball.com, you will now see a polls tab. If you click on this tab, we have questions that we want your input on. We have questions about college camps, long tournament schedules, the transfer portal, and our watch list. If you want to give your input, head on over to our website now. Um, so you mentioned burnout, and I think that's important to talk about too because there's two kinds of recovery. Like there's the physical side of it, and then there's the mental side of it. So what
Mhm.
do you do with your players to kind of make sure that they're getting that mental recovery as well as that physical recovery?
Well, I make a decision
Yeah.
and I shut them down.
Yeah.
And I am not interested. I know I work with 12-year-olds, but I've worked with 16s. I've worked with college age. I was a college coach for 25 years. I'm not interested in you having the amount of surgeries that I've had.
Yep.
And when I talk to my pitching and my pitching kids, no, I'm not interested in burning out your shoulder.
Yeah.
What we're doing is to prepare you for the 4 years you have in college. I don't
Mhm.
know what comes after that,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
know today, one of my pitchers just texted me, my elbow is really sore and a little swollen. Don't even come to lessons tonight. Don't even. In fact, take the rest of the year off.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It's not. It really isn't.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And it's amazing too that they feel comfortable telling you that because I think that's a huge thing. Us all being athletes can probably think of a coach that we didn't feel comfortable saying that to. So I think it's super
1000%.
important too to develop that culture of you're not going to sit there and be like, "Well, suck it up," like you must not want it bad enough because
Mhm.
that's a thing too. Like I don't know, Jaden, did you see that at all? Like when you were coaching in college, and I'm sure you did as well, Chris. Like,
Oh,
did
yeah.
you see that where people were like, "Well, I don't want to tell my coach," or
Oh,
I don't want to sit out or be seen as a baby. I think that's a huge thing too.
yeah. I mean, I definitely saw it. Even when I was playing, I mean, I obviously like my mindset, I wanted to be out there, but it was like, if we were in the fall and I have an injury, like, what is that going to do for when I get into the spring? Like, is it going
Yeah.
to be nagging, nagging, nagging from February to May? Or if I sit this 1 week out and just take that time off, like then in the spring, I'm good to go. So I think it's that balance of wanting to be out there, but is it going to cost you in the spring or is it going to cost you now, like in the fall when
Right.
when games
Well,
don't?
if we talk about being a good teammate,
Hmm.
if you're not 100%,
Mhm.
be a good teammate
Yeah,
Yeah.
and take yourself out.
that's a
But
good
how
point
this
too.
is a lot with football, men's sports, but a couple of schools that I coached with where I was a graduate assistant or an assistant coach, the trainers would go tell the coaches
Yeah.
you couldn't play
Mhm.
because the coach would question your dedication.
Yeah,
Just
I've seen that happen too. Yep.
yeah, that
I
happens a lot.
I want to win more than anybody else in the whole wide world. I just do. But I'm not going to sacrifice a child to do it. And a 22-year-old is still a child.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
What do you look for when you're coaching? What do you look for? What are the signs that you may be like, that kid, she needs to take a break, like she needs to rest, recover? Are there any signs you look for, or are there any that you just see that are
Absolutely.
blatant? What are they?
Well, I will challenge any parent, any coach. Everybody's had burnout.
Yeah.
You can just see it in their body language. You can see it in their eyes. It takes a long time for them to get excited, to get pumped up, to get loose. It takes a long time, especially if my kid is normally 30 minutes early to practice and they're showing up at practice. Huge
Yeah.
sign. Huge signal
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
But the thing are you doing what's in her best interest? Because if you're doing what's in her best interest, you're more curious. Hey,
Right.
what's going on?
Yes.
Then you are making judgment.
Mm.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
notice it. Like, you take the time to notice it,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of coaches, again and parents are the same way.
Parents
Sometimes
do.
they cannot like, you gotta be intentional and watch your kids and be like, "Okay, what's different?"
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
body
when
language.
I tell them at the end of the year, do not even pick up a ball, do
Yep.
nothing. The parents go, "What? Are you sure?" Yeah.
Absolutely.
She'll start off the season slow then. No, she won't.
Yeah. And that's such an interesting thing. Like, when the parents are saying it, it's really not a shock that the girls end up being like, "Well, I'm gonna be behind if I take all." I mean, it's kinda just that ripple effect.
Yeah.
Right.
I can go from experience because I played basketball in high school and then obviously went into softball. But I didn't go to pitching. I was a pitcher in high school. I didn't pitch in college, but I did not go to pitching lessons during basketball season. And like once we hit February and I was out of basketball and in softball, that was the best I've ever pitched. And it's just like, how does that work? But it's just our body responding to getting enough rest and getting enough nutrition instead of just, I mean, throwing your arm out. Yeah, we don't have a pitch count, but I mean, technically we kind of
We
do.
should, yeah.
Good.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. In our body, it's our body saying that's your pitch count, you're done. Like, and I think
Well, Jaden, you just brought up a really good point. You were still active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were playing basketball, so it wasn't like you were sitting at home
Yeah.
on the couch,
Mhm.
but
Right.
you were away from
Yep.
Yeah.
softball. So
Yes.
your mind was training differently, your
Yep.
body was training differently, everything was fresh.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah. And I wrote an article about that a couple weeks ago, and I really do think multi-sport athletes it helps.
It does.
Because yes, I mean, yes, your softball is your big sport, but like in basketball, I was a point guard. Like I'm being a leader, you know. I ran track, like that's helping me in softball. And so I think everything is getting trained differently. But when you hit the softball field, like I got to play basketball and now I'm on the softball field and now I get to train something different. So you're still getting that rest of your softball, but you're still preparing for your season in that way, I guess.
No,
If
absolutely
that
you
makes
are.
sense. Yeah,
And
Yeah.
every college coach will say, I want a multi-sport athlete.
exactly.
Mhm.
And injuries. Injuries, I mean, it's
Mhm.
crazy the amount of injuries that people have that just play softball and the people that
Yeah.
play
I mean,
multiple.
we're having girls 13, 14 years old having Tommy John surgery.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
Those
ridiculous.
aren't pitchers, those are shortstops,
Yeah.
oh my
outfielders.
gosh. Golly, that's so sad. I've seen a lot of ACL stuff too, which I think it's crazy that you have 11, 12, 13-year-olds tearing their ACLs. Like, that
That's crazy.
is crazy. Kind of, you mentioned college coaches a little bit. Do you see college coaches like they support the rest and recovery, I would imagine,
They
right?
do. They do.
Because I think a lot of
Every
parents think
December,
they do.
every December, I'll ask my college coaches' friends, can I get a quote? I won't tell who it's from, but what is your opinion on travel
Yeah,
ball? And I show my parents what they say.
right.
It's not, this is for your kid.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
when you
am very
when you
adamant about it.
I love it. When you coached in college, obviously they're kind of forced to have a rest season with summer and winter. But how did you kind of implement that same thing in college? Because obviously college is a lot more more work.
Well, you have rules on when you can work out.
Yeah. So you're almost regulated in that way.
Right. You are regulated. You have
Yeah.
how many hours and I know all the college kids right now, they lift weights 6 o'clock in the morning,
Hmm.
go to class, hitting, fielding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's still your life. It's just your life.
Hmm.
But it's I mean, we just have to be proactive, not reactive.
Absolutely.
Rest has to be scheduled in your practice, itinerary practice. You know, my
Yeah.
pitcher, he used to say a long time ago, plan your season backwards, forwards.
Mm,
So
okay.
at the end, you're winning the College World Series. Now, what are we going to do to get
Yeah.
there? And rest has to be in there.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And because, I mean, if you take Oklahoma, for instance, and then you take where I played at ULM, they're playing 20 plus more games than I did
Yeah. Right.
this season, you know? So I think that that's a really good point is from work your way backwards. I really
Mhm.
like that. I've never heard that before. So I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's really, really cool. So
Oklahoma has the edge. Not, I mean, yes, they have physically talented people, but it's their mindset.
Mm.
yeah,
And your mindset has to be rest is okay, injury is going to happen. You have to deal with it. You have to, it's just, it's your mindset. It can't be a shameful thing that you're hurt. It
Yeah.
can't be a shameful thing that you're tired.
Yes.
In fact,
Absolutely.
didn't Patty Gasso send Alo home? Not like
Yes.
back to
No,
Hawaii
she did. You're
for
right.
a month,
did.
I believe,
Yes.
Month off.
before actual season started.
Yeah.
She said, "Alo, get out of here and take some time."
Yep.
Yes. And see, like that, I mean, that is a prime example of the best. It still happens to the best of the best.
Yeah.
It
Right.
it does. But I'm going to tell you, Alo doesn't have that season if
No,
she doesn't take
absolutely
that
not.
rest.
No,
Absolutely not.
absolutely not. And that is a very good point, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And I
She
mean,
does not
again,
have that season.
it takes the coach to, because
That's
I
right.
think she was burnt. I mean, it wasn't even like, she was hobbling on one leg and it was obvious. Like it was more of a mental
Mentally
thing, and
Yeah.
she noticed it. And gosh,
Well,
like,
that again, the burnout comes from the mindset
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
because Alo had so much pressure on her.
Mhm.
Yep. Expectations. Yep.
And she probably most likely had a lot of external expectations.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But her internal dialogue, God, these girls, this is a whole nother topic we can get
I
on.
know, right, right.
Their internal dialogue just wears them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much pressure on these 12-year-old girls to
Yes.
be Alo. Girl, no, be who
Mhm.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know I
But
was
that's
actually
part of it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I was actually talking to one of our commit crew players. She is going to Texas A&M, and we were talking about, if there was a time in her life that she felt like, she wanted to quit, and she said that one of the hardest times is that summer before September 1, because she was like, the pressure I felt to get that scholarship September 1, and I'm like, she was 15, maybe
Mhm.
16 years old,
Yeah.
feeling like the weight of the world on her shoulders, playing ball, like,
Mhm.
gosh, like, I mean, especially being travel ball, do you think that just the amount of games that they play in a summer, it just like mentally just beats them down? Like, what do you think we could do travel ball side just as coaches and people in the game? Like, how do you limit that pressure in playing so many games in the summer? Do you just
Well,
not
once
play
money
any?
once money gets involved, it's a business.
Yeah, it is.
And somebody made a comment on Facebook about somebody making money off of their child. You don't think every tournament director is making money off your child,
Yeah,
Literally.
right.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
You don't think every vendor that's selling you that fourth $500 bat?
Mm.
But here's the thing. Um, the NCAA has been talking about for years to make it to where college coaches cannot attend a tournament if the teams play more than 3 games a day.
No way.
For years they've been talking about this.
Really? I've
Hmm.
never heard that.
Heard that either.
Here's the one point though. Recruiting showcases, Division 1, Division 2 coaches cannot go to a Friday day game because the girls are supposed to be in school. They
Did
still have it.
did not know that either.
They still have the Friday 10 a.m. game.
They start on Thursday now, I feel like
No,
a
Yeah,
lot of
they're,
times
yeah.
too.
because we're supposed to
And
be
college coaches
advocating
can't be
student
there.
athlete. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're right, Jaden.
yeah. We advocate student athlete, but we're playing on Thursday, Friday. I mean,
Because
you're
it's a
missing.
business.
Yep.
It's all a
That's
business now.
crazy. It is. It absolutely is. I just wanted to take a short break in our episode to talk about our online store and Christmas time. So I know Christmas is quickly approaching for everyone, and we have everything you need on our online store. So if you go to our website, extrainningsoftball.com, you can click on our shop tab on the far right. We have gloves, helmets, apparel, and so much more to get your players set and ready for the next softball season. Now, back to the episode. Well, going off of like more rest and recovery things, when it comes to sleep, I know that's a big thing of being able to sleep and recover. Um, for parents, coaches, players that may be listening, what advice can you give them to make sure they're getting enough sleep? Like how can they improve their sleep and make sure they're ready to go?
So we're right now, while we are not practicing, we are doing a book club, and the book is The Habits of Champions. Habits that make champions. I'll have to look up that title. The same thing that you do when you get in the batter's box, you have a routine. Do you
Right.
remember your routine?
Absolutely.
Yep. I
Get
have my
enough sleep.
routine.
Yep.
Part of your routine to go to bed.
Mm,
Don't stay up on the phone till 2 o'clock in the morning.
yeah.
You have to create a routine. If you are going to be an elite athlete or an athlete, I mean, you have to have a routine.
Yeah.
What do routines do for us? They calm us down.
Mm,
Yep.
And if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, I know that's old, and you get up at 7, you're rested.
yeah.
Mhm.
Good breakfast, eating has to be a part of that routine.
Absolutely.
Hydration has to be a part of that routine. You have to create your routine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, and I think the rest, the nutrition, the hydration, like I think that's more important than hitting 600 balls a night.
Yes.
No, like quantity or quality over quantity. I mean, that's something that's so redundant, but it's so true, you know?
Mhm.
I just think that people don't it's like there was a I don't know. We were doing vision work when I was playing and my coach made a comment. She was like, "Your eyes are just like a muscle, just like your quads and your biceps. Like you've got to work your eyes out just as much as you do your quads and your biceps and every muscle in the body." And I think, I mean, you're like vision is like how you hit, you know. So
Mhm.
I think going off of that, rest, nutrition, and recovery is just the same as
That's
practicing.
work. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
has to be an equal part of your routine.
Yep. Exactly.
Right.
It
Yeah.
can't be a byproduct.
Yep.
Mm-mm. Well, and sleep too, it's so interesting because I think it's not, my sister's a freshman in college and it's like it's cool to go to bed late. I don't know. I was never really like that, but I even catch myself having to talk to her and be like, you've got to go to bed earlier, but it's just not people, they all want to stay up late on their phones, doing
Yeah.
TikToks, whatever. But it's so hard to like get through to them of like, you have to sleep like a lot, not just like 4 hours. Like that's not enough. Like you need to get a full, 8, 9. I think was it Michael Jordan or is it LeBron that he gets like 11 hours of sleep every night? Have you seen that?
Or is it Kobe?
Or Kobe, maybe it was Kobe.
Yeah, I think it was
It
Kobe.
was like 12 hours every night or
Mhm.
something, a lot.
But he was also up at 4 o'clock in the morning
Right.
Yeah.
in
Training
his routine.
and
Yep.
his routine.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm going to sound like a mom right now. You make decisions based off your priorities.
Absolutely.
100%.
So if you're telling me to be an elite athlete is your number one priority, but you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning, actions don't match words, that is not your priority.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, I love that.
Was that
Completely.
a good mom thing?
Oh,
I
that's
think it's a good
perfect.
coach,
My
mom.
son's probably going to be like, oh, because he hears it all the time.
That is
But it's
no,
so true. The
it's
most
so
basic things
true.
are the truest things. I swear.
Yeah. I mean, I
Sorry.
don't know. I just have always seen that with younger players is just having to make sure that they're and I will say college has done a great job. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
those colleges have great nutrition programs and they, I mean, you have those whoops now and the Aura rings. You have all those things that can track all of that stuff.
We did when
Um,
I played.
I,
Here's a
well,
banana.
well, and I'm sure too, like as a travel softball coach, like
Mhm.
how do you enforce that stuff? Because like you're not like at least a coach in college. When you were coaching in college, you kind of were like their mom in some way because you're there. But how do you enforce that kind of stuff as a travel softball coach when like you have their parents at home? Like you can't make them do anything they don't want to do. So how do you enforce that? Like,
I really have a good set of parents these
yeah,
last couple of years, and they hear me talk because whenever I speak to the kids, the parents are there. I want the
okay,
parents to hear and understand what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, because that's a big deal.
mm,
And they support when we go to a tournament and play 5 games a day. It's water and it's good, solid food.
yeah,
Mhm.
They
yes,
have to sit but not sleep. I mean, it's all kinds of no swimming.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And most of my mom, well, my dad's too, but most of my moms played softball. They understand.
Mhm.
yeah.
And
Well, right,
and my dad's, yeah. So, I mean, I
yeah.
have a great bunch of parents.
That's
That's
good.
But you're
that's
not helping your kids by feeding them sugar during the day, during a tournament.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Well, and ballparks don't really I do have a bone to pick with them because they don't really provide the food that I think girls need anyways. Like, they
It's
don't
About
have
money.
candy and chips.
yeah, all they have is candy and chips half the time.
It's about money
Yep.
Fine, you're right.
because they can buy it cheap, sell
Yeah.
it high.
Yep.
Mhm. Especially the late nights too. Like, I remember playing late and I was hungry and mom, the only thing she can get me was a Snickers bar or something, and it's like, gosh, like, that's not what I needed at the time.
I know, but it was just enough to get the ache
Yeah.
away
Oh, I mean,
because
yeah, it
you needed to
worked.
focus,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
funny.
yeah, and kind of going off of the nutrition piece, when I was playing, like I didn't start drinking coffee until after I was done playing. I didn't drink energy drinks. I didn't drink any of that.
For you.
I know, and it really wasn't a thing. Like Celsius and
Yeah.
Alani's, they started becoming a thing like when I was a GA, and now it's like these kids can't go without it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I was not like that because like you can get your energy from your food. Like,
Mhm.
yes, I need a cup of coffee every morning now, but I'm
Right.
also a
But
lot.
they need rest.
Yes,
If
Right.
they need an energy drink, they need rest.
because they don't sleep.
Mhm.
And
So that's partly their responsibility too, right?
definitely
Yeah.
a revolving door because I was going like my super senior year, I was asleep. I was going to sleep at 9 o'clock, waking up at like 10,
Oh, yeah.
and then a pre-practice nap. Like I was sleeping. I was tired.
We
So
practiced at 5 o'clock in the morning my senior year in college. I was in bed at 7 o'clock at night.
you have
I
to.
was
Right.
not going to
No,
Yeah.
sacrifice my sleep.
no,
Right. And I think the older you get and like the more experience you get in college, like you realize like it takes one
Mhm.
or two not sleeping a lot nights and then having practice to be like, I am never doing that again.
yeah. I mean, even studying like that, you have to find a balance too with that. Like, you don't need to wait till finals week to start studying and pull
Right.
all-nighters. Like, you need to be doing that throughout the whole semester. And I mean, that's comes with experience as well too. But
Again, what are your priorities?
What are
yes,
your
hear us
priorities?
now if
Yeah,
you're still in middle school and high school. We promise we've been through it.
I
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was great. I think you brought up some great points, Chris, and I hope that people are watching can take something from it. I do want to give you the floor though, because you just launched your foundation, the 27 Fast Fit Foundation. So if you just want to talk about that for a second while people are listening, tell us what it's about. You mentioned money, so be a good opportunity to kind of to start off with that.
I really appreciate you giving me this moment because I am the type of person if you tell me something, I have to do something about it.
Yeah.
I heard a story the other day. There were three girls in our area that are not able to play on the club level. One family has 6 little girls,
Mm.
so they all can play rec. How can you pay club fees for 6 girls?
Ooh.
So I just can't stand that. And I was that kid. I was that kid. I needed help to play. We
Mm.
didn't have, rec club. We all just played. But when I played women's major, I was 15 years old playing women's major. I had to have rides to Decatur, Illinois. Right? That's where we played.
Mm.
So I just can't stand that. So I created 27 Fast Pitch Foundation. That is my jersey number, Jenny Finch, anyway.
Oh,
And I am launching a give back challenge in January. And I'm asking former players to give back to the younger ones. And I am going to go, I'm going to be regional probably the first couple of years, but I want to go national. There's just no reason for these girls not to experience because of money. I can't stand that.
right. Yeah, I love that.
And
That's
prices are
amazing.
only going to go higher.
Oh my gosh, you're
It's
right
only
on
going to
that.
increase. They do every year.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think that's going to be a game changer for so many players. So thank you for just even having that idea and launching that for the softball community. I know that that's going to do some really awesome things for some girls. So thank you for that, and thank you for hopping on. Like I said, I hope people can take something from this, and I hope, Kris, that we'll have some more conversations
I hope so
soon.
too.
Say maybe about some internal dialogue. Maybe we'll have to get that. Get
Oh,
that.
that's the mindset piece and the way they
Oh
feel
my god.
about themselves is just,
Yes.
whew.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do. We'll have to get something going with that. But thank you again, Kris, and I hope that you have the great rest of your week and a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you
And
all.
then
Yes. Bye. Thank you so much.
yep, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our latest episode. I wanted to make sure you guys knew about our sports performance section on our website. If you go to our website, extrainningssoftball.com, and click on the Extra Extra tab, you'll be able to find our sports performance section. In that section, we have all you need for rest and recovery. Jacob Billingsley, owner of Base Sports Performance, shares his best advice and tips for nutrition, arm care, rest, and so much more. So head on over to our website now to check it out.